Okay, so welcome to a Room Talk Friday episode. Like I said in the community post yesterday, for personal reasons, I didn't record yesterday, and by personal reasons, I had a lot of fucking Pokemon to play. It was just one of those of like, yeah, I can see where this is going. I can see what's happening, and I definitely have a clue. So I guess video games is probably a good place to start in progress. I finished Xenosaga Episode 3. I finished it on Saturday. I have my notes written down, at least for the most part. There might be a little bit I have to write at the very end. I don't remember if I finished it last night. But I have my notes written down, so at some point in the next few days, I want to record a video on that. On top of that, my next game project, as I had said, was I wanted to play Klonoa. Specifically the first game, Door to Phantom Mile. I'm going to say Phantom Mile. I think that's how it's pronounced. Which Jose had a digital copy of on his PS3. So I spent a couple days playing that, and I've got my notes written on that too. I finished it. Sorry. I really liked it. Like, at first I was starting to be like, yeah, I really liked it. And then I just kind of thought, I was like, man, I'm really just going to be gushing about this game. And that weird pause I had kind of made it sound like I wasn't going to like it. But no, like, I fucking loved it. Then I played the Pokemon DLC, finished the story, so I still have some Pokemon catching to do. And boy, it sounds like there's a lot of real grindy bullshit that I don't want to do. So what I had said was, cool, I'm just going to boot up my Pokemon home and, instead of doing all this grindy bullshit to catch the starters, which I still want to do eventually, so I can maybe shiny hunt some of them, I'm like, yeah, let me just, transfer a Bulbasaur, transfer a Chikorita, and I was like, yeah, I had the base form of every starter in home, so there we go, now I just gotta level them up, which really won't be super hard. I think I have all of the grass starters except, I believe it's Chespin and Grookey in their final form, so I'm going by type first. And I already had a Charizard in there, and I already had a Typhlosion in there, so I was able to get Charmander and Cyndaquil finished. Almost done with grass, and then we're going to be focusing on fire, and then after that we can clean up water. So, made a lot of video game progress, some of it a bit faster than I expected, but also kind of right on time in its own weird way. So, I had been saying for a while, my next game project is going to be playing AI the Somnium Files Nirvana Initiative, which is, I keep calling it AI 2 or Somnium 2. And that's still true. That is the next big game I want to play. But I don't want to play any more of Kuro 2. The game hurt me enough. But I do need to do the post-game. It sounds like it's probably fucking important. And yesterday, we got the new announcement for the new Trails game. What the fuck is this? So, it's called Kai no Kiseki. Not Kuro no Kiseki 3. Which is like, okay, that's interesting. And it sounds like it's maybe, I don't know if it's Kuro 3. I don't know if it's Reverie 2. If this is because here's the thing. Trails in the Sky is essentially a 2-game story. Then there's the third game, which is let's tie up some loose ends. Let's explore Kevin and his backstory. While also doing just kind of something completely different with like how Phantasma works. And Reverie feels like a follow-up to that game of Sky the Third, but rather than be an epilogue to the Sky games, it's an epilogue to both Crossbell and Cold Steel. And what's very important is that it's the epilogue, not the ending. Kuro 2 doesn't feel like the ending of Kuro. I mean, I guess in the one sense of collecting the Genesis and dealing with the Mafia, yeah, that's all been dealt with between Kuro 1 and Kuro 2. But it doesn't feel like, oh yeah, this story has reached its ending and now we can do an epilogue. It feels like we finished phase 1, maybe phase 2, but it feels like we're already doing, like, the epilogue part? Really? That's kind of fucking weird. But there's another part of me that's like, okay, next year is the 20th anniversary, and that's kind of how this is being billed. It's the 20th anniversary game. Like, well, I mean, you gotta bring everyone together. Everyone is here. It's all of the warriors. Oh, fuck. I don't even remember what that video was called, because I don't think it's actually called All of the Warriors. Oh, this bothers me off the top of my head, but it's a video I really like. I think it's really fucking funny. But again, that's a lot of what Reverie and Cold Steel 4 were. We're finishing up these plots, but we want to kind of bring everyone together. It's like this big celebration of the series, and that's what I'm assuming Kai is going to be. We've gotten a few screenshots. One of them shows Burgard, so holy shit, I guess he's actually in this game, unlike Kuro 2. And Campanella, because of course Campanella has to be there. There's one of the Grandmaster. There's one of this blonde man wearing like this like nice black jacket, and he's not facing us. And all the comments are like, oh, that's very clearly Rufus. And, you know, like, he's a series protagonist at this point. Yeah, we gotta bring him back. Makes sense. 100%, but my brain, when I saw, like, it was like, wait a second. Pale skin, blonde hair, black jacket. What the fuck is Gilgamesh doing in a Trails game? I was like, okay, I know that's not Gilgamesh. I don't know, maybe it's like Ash and he dyed his hair like a little more yellowy, but what the fuck? And then I looked at it more, I'm like, oh wait, no, that is Rufus. Fuck. I was excited to see Gilgamesh for a second. One of the screenshots... Oh, hi, Bahamut. He was just sitting on my lap, and then I laughed too hard, and he got up. One of the screenshots shows a new female character. I don't know if it's confirmed, or if it's just the heavy speculation that this is Hermes, which is a Kuro character, if you haven't played Kuro. Who's always wearing a helmet, because she's like a biker and shit. So this is probably what she looks like without the helmet, which, oh, Bahamut, what are you doing? What are we doing that? Come back and sit on my lap. Oh, go. There you go. You gotta get comfy. You gotta get comfy, bud. And not mess with the phone. No. Oh, his tail's moving. He's a happy boy. But it shows this new character who is very likely Hermes, which I think is cool. She's absolutely gorgeous. It's a Kuro character. Of course she's absolutely gorgeous. What is slightly disappointing to me was as soon as I saw, like, alright, here's a female character, here's a new design, my brain went, okay, it's not that I dislike Van, and it's not that I'm completely ready to move on to the next character, because I like Van a lot, but are we getting a new female protagonist? Because we haven't had one since Estelle. And boy, that feels sorely fucking missed to me at this point. And a lot of that, well, Estelle is my favorite character in the series. So, I'm happy, I'd be happy to see that, but I'm also like, I'm really not liking the harem romance writing in these past few arcs. I feel like in Crossbell, it's there. It's downplayed compared to what we get later in Cold Steel, but it is definitely there. In Reverie, I found it incredibly annoying. How it's like, okay, here's a part where Lloyd is with one of his female companions, and they all pretty much take a moment to be like, Lloyd, by the way, I love you and want to have your babies. And with Ellie and Noelle, like, I get it. I actually do actively ship him with Noelle, if not with Randy. his final bonding event with Randy, like, no, I don't see it as anything romantic. It's just, like, two really good friends. It's one of my favorite scenes in Crossbell. I think it's so, so good. Also, Burning Rage 3, what do you know? It's fucking phenomenal. But I'm like, okay, I see the relationship with Noelle. I see the relationship with Ellie. Boy, it feels really fucking icky with Tio. Like, I just don't like that. I like the idea of Randy is like the big brother of the group. Tio is the little sister of the group. And then there's Kia, who's just kind of everyone. They're just our collective daughter. But the idea of Lloyd and Tio, I'm like, I don't like this. Please stop trying to make this happen. Because, boy, I find their final bonding event in Azure fucking creepy and weird. Like, from Tio's perspective of, I'm gonna go see my family for the first time forever, and I want you there because I want someone from the group with me, and you're, like, our rock and everything. Like, I love that. And then Lloyd, I'm like, oh, I don't like this. But then you have Risha, who, from doing her final bonding event, it was like, at least from watching it, and the way she and Lloyd interact throughout Crossbell, I'm like, okay, this is... I can feel the mutual attraction and the mutual genuine respect. But it feels also like they're not that interested in each other. It's like, we're kind of interested, but we've got our own shit to do. We have our own lives. A mutual understanding of this really isn't gonna work. And it's not portrayed as actively romantic. So when Risha, in the middle of, like, an arc in Reverie, it's just kind of like, hey, Lloyd, by the way, I need to confess my feelings that I love you and all this shit. I'm like, where is this coming from? Like, yeah. I don't want to get into a whole thing. I'm already getting into a whole thing, but I don't want to get into a whole thing about how... I guess I'm going to do it. I feel like I've said this before. I really like Risha's character. I don't like how waifu-ized she's become. And that scene in Reverie, combined with just, I feel like her boobs get bigger in every game. And while her outfit is the same, it somehow gets, like, more revealing every time. Like, I remember playing Kuro, and I'm like, I can practically see her ass hanging out of her dress. Why? Like, yes, she's an insanely attractive character. I get it. I like looking at Risha, like, I won't lie. But I also really like Risha as a character. And I just feel like we're taking the things that make her really interesting and compelling and instead going, look, massive bajongerdongers. I don't love that. And then you get to Cold Steel, which... I mean, that one really does feel like a fucking harem, especially, like... I think for me, the problem with the romances and the bondings in Cold Steel is A, there's pretty much a canon romance between Reen and Elisa. Whether she's your preferred pick or not, she's not mine. She's written as the canon romance, but there's still other options, which I do feel like overall hurts the narrative. It hurts the narrative in that regard of, here's the, like, imagine if Estelle and Joshua, how do I want to say this? If Joshua was the protagonist of the Sky Games, instead of it being Estelle, it would have been a harem. You can pick Estelle, you can pick Chloe, you can pick Josette. I don't remember if there was a fourth. I don't think so. There honestly doesn't need to be. But you would have been able to play as Joshua, and you would have had options, and we wouldn't have gotten the fantastic relationship between Estelle and Joshua as written. That, to me, is the problem. If you want Reen and Elisa to be a thing, you can write that relationship and make it really engaging. If you want to make Reen and Emma a thing, like a relationship between a fucking... What are they called? It's the Divine Knights. No, the Awakener was... Is he the Awakener or is she the Awakener? I think he's the Awakener and she's just the witch, or is she awaken him and he's just like the pilot? Fuck. This is actually bothering me. Anyways, but you would have had between the Knight's pilot and his witch companion, which I think would have given them like a really interesting and unique bond that I think is kind of implied with Crow and Vita. I can see it. I don't know if it's canon, though. I would have liked that. Like, a relationship with Fee, which I don't care for because I see them as, like, a brother and sister. Or the relationship with Laura, which I also don't care for. I see them as more just kind of training companions. But there's interesting things you could have done with some of these relationships if you focused on, this is the one that we are writing. Everyone else, maybe they have a thing for Reen, maybe they don't. They're just his friends. I feel like we're robbed of something really good, and what we have instead, it's really cut and paste. The final bonding event in Cold Steel 4, because I've seen all of them. There's a few that I think like, oh, this is actually kind of good, and I really like, Toa's in particular. For the most part, though, it feels like Rina's saying the exact same shit to every single person, showing how little, like, how cut and paste it is, but, like, this is how little of an impact these relationships are actually having on him, because there's the exact same relationship almost every fucking time. I don't like that. I really don't. So my early impressions with Kuro, where it's, okay, it's Van and Elaine. They have a history together, there's still a lot of romantic and sexual tension, and they're still written as genuinely interesting characters with their own arcs. This is great. I love it. Okay, Agnes has a thing for Van, that's whatever, but it's very clear Van does not see her that way. She's like, look, you're my assistant, you're in high school, I just don't see you that way whatsoever. And he's either oblivious to her affection, or is, I'm very much aware of what's happening, but I'm gonna pretend to be oblivious as a way of letting her down easy. Then you get Kuro 2, where, okay, so 4, at least in, like, their final event, it's like, okay, 4 is starting to have a thing for Van. It seems Rosette is starting to have a thing for Van. Agnes's event, she's kind of like, hey, I mean, I know there's this age gap between us, but I mean, my parents have the same age gap, so trust me, like, it's as weird as you think it might be, it's really not that weird. I mean, come on, like, oh, what the fuck are we doing? I don't really remember if there was one between him and Judith that they were going for. I don't see it. I love the relationship they do have, and like, I don't see this as anything romantic. I don't think they were doing it with Nina. I feel like they were almost kind of making it like Fairy is maybe starting to see him that way, and like, please just don't. And then there's Ren, who, as much as I'm like a Van and Elaine, I think is a really good relationship. I actually kind of love the chemistry and relationship he has with Ren. If that was pursued, I would be okay with it. But I just don't love the harem-style writing. Pick a romance, and if you don't want to write a romance, you don't have to write a romance. That's fine, too. But I feel like by giving the player and the character so many options, a lot of them just don't come across as that interesting anymore. It just feels like, oh, we're doing this again. So seeing the prospect of a female protagonist made me go, we hopefully don't have to deal with this shit anymore, and we can just have a really good and interesting character with great relationships. Thank you. But that might not be the case. I mean, I still hope she's an interesting character, but I'm like, oh, I guess we might still be having to deal with the shit. Okay. Also, the subtitle of the game is, I believe it is, Farewell, O Zemuria. What? What the fuck does that mean, Goofy? What the fuck does that mean? Does that mean we're leaving it behind because we're going to space? Because of that image of her, it's like, is that like a fucking space station in the back? Well, what's happening? Is it because the world's gonna get exploded? Is it because we're finally gonna be able to go past Zemuria? I don't know. It sounds like Nayuta's now really fucking important. Which I figured it would be. I haven't played it yet. But like, alright, I gotta get on that one next year. I mean, it's not like Kai no Kiseki is gonna be coming out anytime soon in the West. We're getting Kuro 1 next year. But, I'm gonna be spoiled on it. There's no way I'm not. I'm not going to be able to control myself. It's not just like a, oh yeah, through osmosis, I'm going to find shit. It's, I'm going to look for it because I want to know what happens in this story. I want to be like, all right, I don't want to know all the details. Essentially, I'm like, okay, now that the game is out, I just want to know who comes back. Do we meet any new enforcers? What's the status of Anguis number 7? Do we meet Anguis? No, we've met number 4. I think it's number 5 is the Anguis we haven't met yet. It's like, what's the status there? Is the theory about Anguis number 1, is that legit? When it comes to some of the shit, like, what we can do with all the Genesis together, like the big calamity, I'm like, that stuff I don't super want to know. I'd rather just play that. But I'm like, I gotta know who's in. You guys got any leaks? Got any of them pixels? I'm excited. I'm really excited. But I'm also like, farewell, Louis Emiria. Oh, fuck. Does the world, like, explode? I mean, Kuro's got to be the Time Septarian. My brain is just going like, okay, is this going to be a time loop? Is this going to be something, because what is it called? It's like the Eternal Recurrence Plan, and I'm like, wait, I was playing Xenosaga 3, and I'm like, wait a second, I've heard that in Kuro, what the fuck? There's a part of me that says Trails in the Sky is going to get the remake, and it's going to be canon. Somehow, because of time loop shenanigans, they're gonna, like, the next game after this is going to be, you're getting your HD, full, like, in the Cold Steel, whatever, engine of Trails in the Sky, but things are gonna be a little bit different. You're still in Liberl, you're still playing as Estelle, but it's canon, and it's gonna be weird, and I'm gonna be excited, and I'm just gonna be like, please don't do anything really stupid with it. But yes, that's all I have to say about video games right now. Shows. I finished RWBY. I don't know when I'm doing the tier list. I really wanted to do it sometime this week, and I still have time. Maybe over the weekend, maybe super early next week. I don't know. But I'm really excited to just sit down and be like, let me talk about this shit. And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I do want to do a character tier list. That's a lot of fucking characters, though. Like, I'm intimidated. RWBY has such a massive... It's like doing a tier list for fucking warriors. You're like, okay, here's the, like, 10 to 15 characters who really matter. And now here's, like, mouse fur. Oh god, a warrior's tier list. I mean, you'd probably have to... Oh gosh, you'd either have to do it by series, or it's just, here's everybody, and that would be huge. Like, I've seen Trails tier lists, and it's massive. Like, I don't think I want to do that. That doesn't sound like a good time. But, I feel like RWBY, while it does have so many characters, I'm like, there's a good chunk of, like, I have nothing to say about you. I'll probably just do that, because I know we did for the CCast tier list. I think we call it, like, literal who's. I'd probably just call it, like, Whoville. It's just, like, I don't know you, I don't care, blah, blah, blah. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty. But I think I want to... I feel like I really want to talk about the characters in RWBY, because I have a lot of things to say about a lot of characters. With some characters, it's really good. With some, it's pretty bad. With some, it's both. I feel like overall, the series is very up and down in terms of its quality. But I think the good always outweighs the bad. Because A, I think there are more good seasons than bad seasons. And 2, when the show is good, like when it's clicking, I think it's really good. When the show is bad, it's annoying, it's frustrating, but it's not like, this is the worst shit I've ever seen. Because there's always something redeemable. Even Season 6, as much as I talk about how much I don't like Season 6, there's enough good shit in there, genuinely speaking, that it's like, yeah, aside from the fact that this is serialized and I gotta watch season 6 to watch the rest of the show, there's enough good shit in season 6 that I'm still glad I watched it. Like, I'd rather watch season 6 of RWBY than watch Home or, like, the How to Train Your Dragon sequels. I mean, I don't love How to Train Your Dragon 2, but I guess that's kind of it. Like, season 6 of RWBY is, like, the quality of How to Train Your Dragon 2. Although, I think I like How to Train Your Dragon 2 a little bit more. I still don't really like that movie. It's not as bad as How to Train Your Dragon 3. I fucking hated that movie, and I still do. There's a part of me, though, that, like, now that I've sat on it, I've had more time to think and reflect on it, I'm like, okay, do I really hate it more than Home? There's reasons why I do. It's more disappointing. No, I do. Home is annoying, but there's this genuine bitterness that I get from How to Train Your Dragon 3. And as much as I will shit on the bad parts of RWBY, like bad character writing, bad decision making, my brain stopped for a second. But just the shit I don't like, it rarely fills me with that level of bitterness. And anything that did is kind of made up for by how much I loved season 9. So there you go. Like, it's not exactly a ringing endorsement. Like, I really feel like the best way I can sum up RWBY is if someone were to tell me that they loved the show, they loved everything about it, they loved the music, they loved the fights, they loved the characters, they loved the plot, they loved the world, they're like, this is my favorite thing of all time, I would totally understand. If someone else came up to me and they're like, I fucking hate it. I hate these characters. I don't like the plot. I think it's too bloated. I think, okay, if they said anything about the music, I'd be like, okay. I think I'm gonna hard disagree with you there. But they're like, dude, I watched it and I fucking hate it. I would completely understand that too. I like it. I genuinely like it. It's not like The Room, where it's so bad, it loops around to being amazing. And The Room's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's genuinely good, but there's a lot of elements that don't work. Would I recommend it? No, yeah. I think I would really say, like, I would recommend watch season 1. And if you hated it, don't watch anything else. If you had a good time with it, keep going. Now, yes, I mean, someone could like season 1 and then not like other seasons. Someone could dislike season 1 and then like the rest of the show. But I feel like it's a pretty good indicator of the show's strengths and its weaknesses in kind of a nutshell. So that's what I would say about that. Sorry, no, my nose has been really itchy and like really runny lately too. I think just the changes in the weather are starting to fuck me up. Let's see. I haven't been able to start Hilda yet. I don't know when I'll get a chance to, but I really want to. Haven't started Mobile Suit Gundam yet. Hopefully next week or the week after. I did watch The Red Turtle. Haven't done my video on it yet. I feel like that's kind of a running theme for this. It's like, yeah, I'm really behind on a lot of videos. But I do plan on doing it, and then when I do, then I can do the Ghibli tier list. Excuse me. Which I'm also very excited to do. I will say, unlike RWBY, which I just watched a month ago, so my thoughts on it all still feel very, even though like I've had enough time to kind of reflect on some things that maybe my opinions have changed a little bit. It's still very fresh. So I feel like, yeah, I can talk about RWBY and feel pretty fucking confident in what I'm talking about. I watched the Ghibli movies last year. I think it was about a year and a half ago. So with some of them, like even if I hadn't watched Castle in the Sky a year ago, I could talk about it because I've seen that movie so many times, it's so ingrained in me. Even if I hadn't watched Spirited Away a couple months ago, I could talk about that movie, it's so ingrained in me. But then there's something like When Marnie Was There, or Arrietty, or Porco Rosso, which I've only seen that one time. I remember elements of the movies. I remember how they left me. And that's a lot of what my tier list is going to be about. Like, can I really talk about a lot of the plot and character intricacies? For some of these, not as well. I won't lie, and I don't want to watch them again. Not in a sense of, like, these movies sucked, I don't want to watch them again. But it's like, I already did the marathon. I don't want to have to do it again. If I want to watch them, I will. Clearly, I watched Spirited Away like a month ago. But I do remember the vibes. And I feel like with a Ghibli movie, that is what's most important. It's about that experience. It's about the comfiness. But also, when that comfiness is challenged, there's a lot of times in Spirited Away where that gets challenged. There's a lot of times in, like, even, like, in the back half of Kiki's Delivery Service, your comfiness is fucking under attack. But it's, how did I feel emotionally? How much did the movie resonate with me? That I remember from every single movie. And that is really what the tier list is going to be about. So I'm looking forward to doing that. I already, what am I ranting about Kaino Kiseki? I'm so fucking excited for it. Oh yeah, I'm reading Clannad. I don't know how much I like it. And I feel like I should say, if I haven't said this already, I've seen the anime, both seasons. They're both on my shelf, and I love it. Clannad and After Story together as one anime, because it's just 2 seasons of it, is one of my all-time favorites. It is something that I love to watch. It's something that, like, if I need to cry, I watch the Daddy's Arms scene from After Story. I don't know how. I remember it did not make me cry the first time I watched it, and it's made me cry every time since. Whether I'm actually watching the show, or if I'm just watching the scene, it will fuck me up. Its ability to fuck with my emotions is unmatched, and it's great. Like, I love this cast. I love just the weird supernatural bullshit. Some of it is real bullshit, but it's so weird and interesting that I like, the more I think about it, the more I do like it. 'Cause I remember the first time through, I was like, this is fucking stupid. I'm like, no, like, it is, but I love it. I don't care. I think the music is fantastic. Reading the VN, it's not hitting me quite the same. And I think there's a few reasons for that. Number one is, well, I've already seen the story, I've already experienced the story. Which, I can't even really say that, though, because I rewatched the anime. I watched it with my dad. I think it was last year, or the year before. Maybe it was a couple years before that, actually. But anyways, like, I watched it with my dad. I'm like, nope. I'm still getting heavily invested. I still care. I'm still getting emotional. I told my dad, I was like, there's a scene in this show that makes me cry every time I see it. And when we got to the Daddy's Arms, he's like, are you crying right now? I'm like, yeah, 100%. And he's like, oh. Yeah, he's kind of like, my bad for kind of making fun of you there. But we had a really good time watching it. And so it's not because I've already experienced the story. I think it's because it's a VN. And because of that, it's like, I don't see Okazaki's face and I don't hear his voice. Which, I mean, there's other VNs where, you will actually hear the main, like, Fate's Day Night, like, you rarely ever see Shiro's face outside of, like, a CG. But you hear the voice acting and it's great. With Sea Cats, you see and you hear Battler. But in this, you don't. And I feel like I definitely like him a lot less as a result. Because when I don't actually hear the lines being delivered, and I don't see the facial expressions, he's just an asshole. And I mean, he's an asshole anyways, but it's a lot more entertaining and a lot more fun. Here, I'm just like, why do any of these people hang out with you? Tsunohara in particular. Like, Tsunohara doesn't have anything better, but he might be better off if he didn't have you. Like, genuinely speaking. I really feel like with CCATS, from reading the VN and reading the manga, I feel like while it's the same story, it's two different experiences, and both of them are fantastic. I could easily recommend the VN, I could easily recommend the manga. Reading Fate after watching the Dean anime and watching the UBW anime, I feel like I'm getting such a different experience from reading the VN, and this is by far the best way to do it. From reading Clannad, I'm getting more stuff because I'm seeing more of these extra routes. But like doing the twins route, I'm like, yeah, this is okay. Like I like it, but I don't love it. So I feel like, yeah, like what it got in the show was fine. And I feel kind of similar with Tomoyo, because I've also seen, like, her OVA episode, and I'm like, yeah, I got enough out of that I don't think the VN really offered me anything that much more. I still want to finish it, because maybe in some of these other routes it will, maybe an after story it will, I don't know. But at the point where I'm at now, it's not hitting me as hard. And I'm right now in the camp of like, if you've seen the anime, you don't need to read the VN, but I'll see if that changes. Okay, I could not read my handwriting, which, I mean, I feel like that's gotta be on my bingo card of just shit to expect from a video. Pins, which aside from doing it right there, I haven't actually done in this video. That's kind of weird. It's like putting pins in things, stumbling over my words, going on long tangents, saying fuck. Like there's a lot of things you can even, talking with my hands, a Bahamut sighting. So not being able to read my handwriting, that's definitely one too. I thought that said like S-Death, and I was like, but why? I haven't been watching Akamega Kill. Like, I know Weiss was cosplaying as her during Ice Queen, and by talking about the last movie, like, oh no, that says E3 dead. Fucking whoops. But, yeah, E3 is now officially dead. Which, I mean, it's been kind of unofficially dead for the past few years. It's something I'm definitely sad to see go. But it's something I always looked forward to. It's like, yeah, like, I know in June, I can look forward to this. I can look forward to seeing a bunch of games and a bunch of new announcements and shit. But I'm still getting a June Nintendo Direct pretty much every year. So I'm still getting that. And I think Sony the past few years, like, we're just going to do a state of play around then. So I'm still getting PlayStation stuff. Then, for kind of all the other crap, I don't mean to say it like that, but just like for everything else, that's kind of what Summer Games Fest is. So, I mean, whether you like Jeff Keighley or not, I mean, I won't lie, wasn't particularly interested in the Game Awards this year. Like, I watched it. I think I was reading Clannad the whole time. I think I was playing through Fuko's story, which I'll say so far is my favorite part of Clannad, at least in the VN, is Fuko. But, brainstorm for a second. But during the Game Awards, there wasn't a lot that made me go, ooh, ooh, ooh. I mean, it's like Monster Hunter. I know that's big. I don't play Monster Hunter. But I know a lot of people were excited. The thing that excited me the most was seeing Elfelt in Guilty Gear. Because when Strive was announced, I remember saying, I'll get the game if Elfelt is in it because I think she's cute as hell. And it's like, well, now I gotta get Guilty Gear. I haven't played it yet. But I got it, and I got Elfelt. I didn't get any other DLC character. Like, I made good on my promise. Off the top of my head, like, what are the games I'm really excited for that are coming out next year? There was one I saw at the Game Awards. I don't remember what it's called. It was called, like, Zua or Zoa. But it was this guy talking about, it's like this game he made for his dad. And I actually thought the game looked pretty cool. And it's like, that one caught my attention. But it's, the Tsukihime remake, which I'm going to treat more as a reading project than a game project. But that's one. Thousand Year Door remake. Earthblade. Those are the ones, and like Princess Peach Showtime. Those are the ones that really come to mind, and none of that was at the Game Awards. Fuck, I'm really excited for Earthblade. If you don't know what that is, it's the game made by the team that made Celeste. And from what I understand, they've kind of said, like, if you're going in expecting Celeste and, like, its story and its feels, it's not gonna be that. It is not gonna be that at all. I believe I remember reading an interview or a quote where the creator had said, I don't ever want to be in the place I was when I made Celeste ever again. And I get that. As someone who loves Celeste, as someone who has had it resonate with me on such a personal level, I don't really want to be in those situations either. But I also love playing Celeste, and I love listening to the music in Celeste. So, like, okay, really want to play your new game. I think the only other thing I really want to talk about is the Kung Fu Panda 4 trailer. Because that happened, and I watched it. I was like, I'm thinking we're back. However, there is something noticeable about the trailer. And it's not Awkwafina, although very noticeable. And I'm very torn on Awkwafina. Because, like, I remember watching Raya and thinking, I don't think this character is very funny. And boy, they're trying, but it just doesn't work. And I don't know if it's the writing. I don't know if it's the delivery. Because I think I'm liking the delivery and the energy that the actor is bringing. And, like, the actual, like, movement and shit. But I just don't think she's written that funny. But then in the Little Mermaid remake, Awkwafina voices Scuttle. And I'm like, okay. There's a way to write Scuttle. Scuttle has to be really stupid and really annoying, but really likable. And I feel like for the most part, they struck that balance. I was like, okay, this character is working for me. So she's kind of 1-in-1, and I know Clay, because Clay really fucking hates Raya. He was just like, stop trying to make Awkwafina happen. But I'm like, hey, I want to give her the benefit of the doubt here. And the little bit I was seeing in the trailer, I'm like, I think this can work. I think this can really work. I'm in for this. I'm down for this. The fact that the main antagonist is a fucking chameleon who can, like, take your chi and, like, assume your form and do your shit. I'm like, that's cool. That's really fucking cool. I'm excited for this. Where's the 5, though? Like, where's Tigress? Where's Crane? Where's Mantis? Where's Angelina Jolie? Wait, no, that one's Tigress. Where's Monkey? Where's Viper? Like, where are they? Because I don't think I saw them in the trailer. I didn't see them in the poster. Like, their names are in the cast list, but it's not like Poe, Shifu, like Jack Black, Dustin Hoffman, and then them. It's like, no, there's the cast, and then it's, oh yeah, by the way, they're also going to be in the movie. I mean, I know the 5 do kind of tend to get done dirty, as how these movies go, but boy, y'all are doing them fucking dirty. What is this shit? And it's, I mean, again, aside from Tigress, did any of them, like, really do anything in Kung Fu Panda 3? No. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm like, that just feels weird. But I am looking forward to it a lot. If you watched any of our DreamWorks, I can't say any of them, because, like, yeah, if you watched the Boss Baby videos, that has nothing to do with Kung Fu Panda. But if you watched us doing our tier list, you know that I actually kind of regret not giving Kung Fu Panda my double S rating. I think I can honestly say I like Puss in Boots: The Last Wish more, But it's almost like there's this part of me that says, this, to me, Puss in Boots is just the better movie. I would put Kung Fu Panda as 2. But it's had so much of a resonance with me that I kind of want to give it that same spot as well. It's like, this is the one that's like, the artist in me is like, this is the best thing. And then this is the one that just like my human soul says, but this is the one that means the most. So that's why I'm like, okay, you're gonna do another one. I don't think 2 or 3 is as good as 1, but I think the series has been consistently really fucking good. So, I'm hoping 4 is as good as 1, but if it's not, and it's on the level of 2 and 3, I'm still happy. But if it's bad, but if it sucks, I'll be furious. But I'm really, really excited to see it. And, I think that's it. Bahamut, do you have anything you want to add? No, he looked away. I don't think he has anything else to add. So in that case, I'll see you later. I have a lot of other videos to record, so you're probably going to be seeing this shirt. Oh, fuck. I probably should have saved this for whenever I do my Ruby video. Like, my Ruby tee. Because this is what I say. This is the Ruby shirt. This has all 4 colors on it. Whenever I do that video, I'll either just wash this before I do it, or I'll just say, fuck it. I didn't really do anything today. It's like, I went outside and it rained, so the shirt got washed. Anyways, that's it for this one. I'll probably see you pretty soon.